President Zurabishvili, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Yesterday, your parliament passed a law on so-called foreign agents. How do you see this decision?
As sees it the whole Georgian population, or a vast majority of it, this same law that is more or less a duplication of what was adopted in Russia a few years earlier and then amended to really deprive the civil society of any rights, was presented last year already, in March of last year, was the object of protests, mass protests at that time already, and also of criticism from our European partners, and it was retrieved with the promise made to the population and to our partners that this was it and this law was not going to be ever discussed again. And this year, for no obvious reason, out of nothing, while we are in the process, after having received the candidate status of the European Union, in the process of working towards the opening of accession negotiations, suddenly the majority represents this law, so lies to its own population, and represents its law together with rhetoric that I think has been unheard of in this country, which describes our partners as a foreign influence that is influencing this country to get into a second front, that is pushing this country to destabilization, that are pushing towards overthrow of the government. There is a very big conspiracy theory of which the actors are our best partners for years, since the independence of Georgia. So it's both not understandable to the population and very scary because it's really putting us at odds with everything that we are striving for, with this European path that we've seen consolidated by the decision on the status, and this hope of getting further down on the road towards opening these negotiations for adhesion.
Well, the EU and NATO have called for withdrawal of this law. Is it possible? Can you, for example, veto and stop this law when it comes to your desk?
No, I can veto and I will veto, because that's a symbolic reaction that will parallel, I would say, what these mass demonstrations are saying. No to this law. And this veto will be overthrown because the majority is in the hands of the ruling party, and they have shown that they have a very monolithic majority and a very monolithic one-party rule by now. So I have no illusion, and neither has the population any illusions that they will reconsider what could have been reconsidered at many times during the process of discussing this law. So we'll have the law, we'll have other laws that are also going against the European recommendations and values, and it's not my first veto. But the only real outcome and issue of this process and how we can come back on the European path will be through the elections, will be through bringing in the elections a new majority that will reverse the laws that go against our European integration path, and that is as important, and introduce the laws that our partners, our European partners, have been waiting for many months, not to say more, on the reform of justice, on anti-corruption laws, on independence of institutions. All of this has to be done so that we are again in shape, I would say, for asking the opening of negotiation adhesion, which I hope will happen, if not by the end of the year, at least by the beginning of next year.
So what you are saying is that you are not stepping off the path to EU and the elections in October are very important. Are you confident that you are going to be able to have free and fair elections despite Russia?
You know, in this country, we're going to have interferences, we're going to have propaganda, we're going to have cyber attacks and use of social networks. I mean, by now, everybody's receiving threatening messages, except me, I must say, on their phones. So all of this, it's something that for this country would not be surprising. But I think that the experience of this country is also that whatever the resources of the different regimes, if the population is mobilized and united around one common objective, and that objective for us today is very clear and very visible and very concrete, then the mobilization is such that the different attempts to fraud and rig the elections are not efficient. And we have too many reasons to hope. One is that, as we all see, the young people are now involved in politics in a way we have never seen them in the recent past of Georgia, and they will vote for the European future. And the other segment of the population, which has not been voting very actively in the recent years, those are the 1 million voters in the diaspora, which also are very directly concerned for their future by the European future of Georgia. So yes, I'm optimist.
Yeah, that's good. My final question, how would you describe the situation in your country on the streets right now?
On the streets, we have an extremely pacific, reasonable demonstration organized by different groups of young or less young people. There is a new group that was created that are groups of parents together with their children, people that have been for the Easter ceremony, lighting candles in front of the church, in front of the demonstration place. So it's a very reasonable and very mature form of protestation. But the intimidations are there. The violence is there. The police is reacting quite correctly, I must say. But there are other forces at work that are not acting in line with the standards, that are not identifiable, and that's a very big risk. And that can provoke a spiral of violence and destabilization. And I think that I will be trying everything I can with my advice, my word, because that's my strength and nothing else, together with the political forces and the civil organizations forces to try to keep this movement so that we can go to the end, to the elections, and get the answer of Georgia where it should be, which is in the ballots.
I really hope you succeed. President Zurabishvili, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.